Ever wondered how to crawl out of the debt hole? This financial pitfall is a common predicament that many find themselves in. The struggle to pay off debt, it's like trying to climb a mountain with a boulder chained to your ankle. Now, imagine someone who's been there, someone who's felt the weight, the stress, the despair. But they didn't just survive, they conquered. They broke free from the chains of their debt. Sounds impossible, doesn't it? But let's dive into how one person managed to do it. Meet John, a regular guy who found himself buried under a mountain of debt. Just a few years ago, he was overwhelmed, juggling multiple credit card bills, student loans, and a mortgage. It felt like he was sinking in quicksand, but John had a plan. He knew it wouldn't be easy, but he was determined to claw his way out of the borrowing hole. John started by listing all his debts, from the smallest to the largest. He then focused on paying off the smallest debt first, while making minimum payments on the rest. This method, known as the snowball strategy, gave him a sense of progress and motivation. He also cut back on unnecessary expenses, opting for home-cooked meals over eating out and cycling to work instead of driving. John's sacrifices weren't easy, but they were worth it. Over time, he chipped away at his debt, finally emerging victorious. John's story is inspiring, isn't it? But what exactly did he do to get out of debt? John's journey wasn't easy, but he followed some key points that helped him clear his debt. Let's break down these pivotal steps that led to his financial liberation. First, he made a budget. This may sound quite basic, but it's surprising how many people overlook this fundamental tool. John listed his income and expenses, allowing him to see where his money was going and where he could potentially save. Secondly, he prioritized his debts. Not all debts are created equal. John identified which debts had the highest interest rates and focused on paying those off first to reduce the overall amount he owed. Thirdly, John cut down on expenses. By identifying the non-essentials in his budget, he was able to reduce his spending and allocate more funds towards his debts. Remember, every little bit counts. Fourthly, he looked for ways to increase his income. John took on a part-time job and sold some of his unwanted items. These additional funds were directed straight towards his debts. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, John stayed disciplined. He understood that freeing himself from debt wouldn't happen overnight, but he remained committed to his financial plan. So there you have it. Paying off debt may seem like a daunting task, but with the right strategies and a lot of determination, it's definitely possible. Remember, the first step is always the hardest, but every step you take brings you closer to your goal.